remember that phone call, the sound of sobbing in the background. Everything got so quiet I could hear the tears hitting the floor. The words wrapped around my neck as I collapsed. My heart stopped, my eyes watered, and I started to shake. My grandma was slipping away. Would I ever be able to say goodbye? I had so much to say. Actually, too much to say. Crying her name, I told her I was sorry. I told her to say hi to Grandpa for me. She's so far away, but I know she can hear me. December 20th, 2013 started out like any other day. I woke up, got dressed, and went to school. It was a Friday, and many plans were being made. Most of these included me, so I called my mom and asked her if I could go to the mall with some friends. When my mom said yes, all my friends cheered, and we finished planning out the day. When our 7th period bell rang, I ran to meet my friend Lauren, and we jumped into our mom's car and headed off to the mall. We spent most of our night there laughing, drinking coffee, and having a good time. Such a good time, in fact, we called my mom again to see if I could stay the night at Lauren's. My mom answered the phone very quietly. Hi, how are you? I answered quickly, very chipper-like, not realizing the despair in my mom's voice. Everything is so great. Can I stay the night at Lauren's tonight, pretty please? My mom answered very quietly again. No, I think you need to come home. There's some things we need to talk about. At this time, her and my dad were not in a good place, so I thought she wanted to tell me that they were getting a divorce. But when I got home, I was wrong. As I walked into my house after my near-perfect day, everything seemed different. The air felt colder and somehow thicker. It was very dark inside and out, not how the rest of my day had felt. My mom wasn't home. Thinking that this was strange, I asked my brother, "Where's Mom? What's going on?" He didn't answer me. I asked again. Still no answer. I was getting mad and a tad anxious. Then my phone started to ring. It was my mom. I answered, "Hi, Mom, where are you?" She was crying now. "Vanessa, are you home? I really need to talk to you." Slightly annoyed that no one was being straightforward with me, I replied, "Yeah, I'm here. Where are you?" She ignored my question and went right into what she had to say. "Sweetheart, listen to me. Grandma didn't beat the cancer this time. She was tired of being alone. She needed to be with Grandpa this Christmas. I cut her off by dropping the phone and falling to my knees. In that moment, I felt like a criminal because I felt so guilty. There my grandma was lying in the hospital taking her last breaths, and there I was in the mall laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. I gathered my stuff and stopped crying. This isn't real, I thought to myself. I'm going to see her right now. I started to walk towards the door. My dad came stumbling down the stairs. I shouted at him, "Take me to see her right now. Take me to the hospital." I began to cry again. Then I started pleading. But with each awful cry, my dad shook his head and said, "I can't." I stopped crying again and asked him why. He tried to talk to me, but then I quickly realized he couldn't do anything because he was drunk. I began to scream at him. "You're an idiot. You're such an idiot. My grandma was lying in some cold hospital room dead, and I can't go say goodbye because you're trashed." I started to hit my dad until he pulled me close. This is where we stood until I cried so hard I puked at his feet. My mom came home while he was cleaning it up. 3 days. 3 days is how many days I sat in my room staring blankly at the walls, not getting up to eat, not getting up for anything except to go to the bathroom. Then came December 23rd. On this day, at 5 o'clock in the evening, one of the hardest times of my life began. I walked into Silva Hostetler to say goodbye to my grams. Family came in from all over the country to do the same. I hadn't seen most of these people in years, if at all. Family member by family member, they came to hug my mother and I. The room was filled with so many different emotions. I was angry and sad. Some were happy that she didn't hurt anymore, but we all did the same thing. We cried. Before the service had its chance to start, everyone was able to walk around and look at the pictures that were set up. There were so many pictures, in frames, on poster boards, laid out on tables. Every one of the pictures came with a story, a memory. Every story we could think of was told just to prolong the inevitable. No one wanted to hear what the priest had to say. He didn't know her. It wasn't his place to talk about her. But eventually the time came. It was the priest's turn to talk, so we all went to our seats and fell silent. We talked about Lenora Holman for exactly 47 minutes and 38 seconds. Who was Lenora Holman? She was the mother of 6, Tim, Tom, Terry, Tammy, Tony, and Todd. She was the grandmother of 17 and great-grandmother of 36. She was the wife of Sam Holman for over 30 years. He listed all of these things. They're all wonderful things, but he never talked about Noni. He never talked about my grandma. He never talked about how patient she was with me when I didn't understand how to even after she showed me 20 times. He didn't talk about how Dirty Dancing was her favorite movie and that on the weekends I stayed with her, we would watch it until 4 o'clock in the morning. Then we'd wake up and eat peanut butter toast. During these times, I would ask so many questions, but she was always patient and had something insightful to tell me. One day I asked what our family before me was like, and she responded very bluntly, "We're mutts." I laughed at her. "Grandma, what?" She said it again. "We're mutts. We come from all over the place. We're Cherokee Indian, Irish, Italian," the list went on and on. I could never remember them all. The priest didn't even once mention that she loved us all so much that she could tell you not only all of her grandkids and great-grandkids' names, but their birthdays. He never even told anyone how amazing the food that she cooked was, or that she had given everyone's favorite recipe to me. She had told me one day, "I'm going to give you something, but you can't tell anyone. Understood?" Excited to know the secret, I said, "Understood." Then she began. 1 big onion, or 2 small, a can of mushroom stems and pieces, 2 cans of Giorgio steak sauce, a cup and a half of brown rice, half a cup of butter, and as much diced ham as you'd like. Then you bake it for 35 minutes. That was her famous rice pilaf that everyone lived for. The priest never talked about those memories. He never talked about my grandma Noni, but that wasn't his fault. He didn't know her like I did. Once he had finished, my mom started the picture film that we had made that captured who my grandma really was. George Jones played as the pictures flipped on the screen. He kept her picture on the wall, went half crazy now and then. He still loved her through it all, hoping she'd come back again. We all started to cry again as we saw the pictures of her bright orange curls and her pale pink lipstick, especially my mom. I hadn't really seen her cry yet, so I wasn't really shocked that she was finally letting it go. For the sake of everyone else, she held it in until we left. Walking out to the car is when I really saw the hurt my mom was going through. I never asked her about it. I just let her cry into me the same way my dad let me cry into him. It's crazy to think that this was 3 years ago because I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember that phone call, the sound of sobbing in the background. Everything got so quiet I could hear the tears hitting the floors. The words wrapped around my neck as I collapsed. My heart stopped and my eyes watered. I started to shake. My grandma was slipping away. Would I ever be able to say goodbye? I had so much to say. Actually, too much to say. Crying her name, I told her I was sorry. I told her to say hi to Grandpa for me. She's so far away, but I know she can hear me. No one ever talked to me about death too much before all this, so I continue to learn from it every day. So does my mom. I asked her once how she stayed so strong after losing someone so close to her, and she responded with, "I always thought your grandma taught me how to do everything but live without her, but I was wrong. My whole life she was doing little things to teach me, but I never realized. She taught me to cook. I can do that now that she's gone. She taught me how to balance a checkbook. I can still do that now that she's gone. But most importantly, she taught me that the little moments are the big moments and that every moment counts. It may sound cliche to most, but she showed me that if you live each second like it's your last, when you leave this world, you won't be disappointed." She started to get choked up and stopped talking to me for a while, but later in the day, my mom came back into the living room and finished our conversation from before. She said, "Of course I was sad. Everyone was sad. I wanted to be selfish. I wanted to keep her here with me. So I didn't know what it felt like to be without her. But now I do know what it's like. It's nothing she didn't teach me or you. That's why we can still do what we have to do today, all because of one woman, all because of your grandma."